today I'm going to show you how to dry a sunflower. Actually any flower or anything that's a plant that you want to dry. So first of all, I'm going to pick this sunflower. It's probably a few days past its prime, but I'm going to show you how to do it anyway. So here's the sunflower. I don't know if the light's good enough for you to see it very well. There's that one, there's this one, and a couple of others. I may cut 3 of them and see what we can do. So first we cut it down, and it's got a fairly small stem, but all I've got is an ice cream bucket to dry them in. And I've got the silica gel, so I'm going to cut it off fairly short and stick it in the bucket and put the silica gel around it. That'll suck all the moisture out of it, and about 2 weeks later I'll take it out and they'll be dry. Okay, so I've picked my flowers, cut them off fairly short. If you had a lot of this silica gel, you could save the long stem as well. But the idea is you put the flower in, you slowly add the silica gel, and it will preserve the flower as it is. So there's another one and another one. But as I just noticed, this flower is really too big for this bucket. So I'm going to put it quite a ways down and let the leaves come up around the side and see if that'll work. You can see all this other stuff that's in the silica gel. That's from previous flower drying years ago. But you got to make sure this is all filled in with silica gel. I'm going to try to get a little more out. And there's a spider. There was a spider. Okay. That's one thing when you're getting these straight out of the yard, out of the garden, is you may have little creepy crawlies, but they too will be all dried out when they're buried. So I'm going to put this down in, and I'm going to wiggle it around. And I'm going to shake it to try to get it in all the areas in the back. If I don't, it can go moldy. I'm going to try to get all the petals up so that they're going up on the bucket. And I hope I don't tear one off. That's one of the dangers. You got to make sure they're not folded or they'll stay folded. Okay, so what you could do is you could actually put these in a salt shaker and just shake them on there. But the whole idea is to fill them in and surround them with the silica gel. If you put in too much at a time, you'll just fold them down, so it won't work very well. It won't look very good when you're taking it out. I'm going to pull these up a little bit. Don't want that thing in there. And in the end, I'm going to bury all of it. This silica gel absorbs water or moisture, so it's like putting these things out in the desert. But what happens is, since they're supported above and below with the silica gel, the petals will stay looking like they do right now. And they usually retain their color pretty well too. Looks like I've got a little flip on that one. Okay. Yeah, I should have had a bigger container to put these in, but I tried a shoebox, but I just didn't have enough silica gel. So just keep filling it in. Alexa, remind me in 2 weeks to take the silica gel flour out.
What time October 1st should I remind you?
10 a.m.
Okay, I'll remind you October 1st at 10 a.m. By the way, when your reminder rings, you can snooze it by saying, remind me again.
Alexa, off. Yeah, sometimes Alexa doesn't want to shut up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bury this one, and then I'm going to actually layer it with a couple of these other flowers and see if I can get 4 flowers out of the same batch. If you've got enough of this stuff, you can have multiple layers, which is what I'm hoping to do, but we'll see how that works. And after you get them in fairly deep, you can kind of jiggle it and tap it and hopefully get in all those areas underneath that need to have the moisture sucked out. It's been a long time since I've done this. That'll be good to see what happens. In 2 weeks, we'll either have something pretty or something not. Just go until it disappears. You can see over here I've still got a bunch left to do. But I'm going to look for the best flower here and maybe just cut that off. It doesn't want to cut. There we go. So I'll put that one there. And maybe another one. I don't know if we'll get that or not. Probably not, because I don't have enough to stick up that high. I'll try this one. Try to put it down in there a little bit. Okay. I'm doing a little too fast. And if you don't get them all covered, they just wilt. So you got to make sure you've got the maximum amount covered. I think I maybe just get that one of these two. And then when I've got these covered, I'm going to cover this bucket with a lid so that it'll hopefully suck the moisture even out of these that aren't completely covered. But I think they will just wilt. See if I can get those covered a little bit more. Yeah, even a little bit of coverage will help. Okay. So I'll cover that up and seal it in. I'm not sure if that's the right way to do it or not, but in 2 weeks we will find out. Okay, time for the big reveal. I was going to do this after 2 weeks, but it's actually 2 days short of 4 weeks. I've cut open a garbage bag so that I can just dump it out here, and then I'll scoop it back in when I'm done. See if we can gently pour this off and see what we get. Hopefully it doesn't tear off any of the petals, although you can expect it to do that. Okay, looks like we may have, oops, it's like a couple of them are, a couple of petals are still buried a little bit. Okay, so there's one. Doesn't look fresh from the garden. Looks good. Looks like we might have some big petals that have torn loose, and that does happen. And this silica gel will get everywhere, just like little sand. Looks like some of this is falling apart a little bit. Might have left it in there too long. Looks like I might have some of these larger petals falling apart. Yep, some of these have fallen off. There's probably gentler ways to do this. Yeah, lost a couple more petals. Hopefully we've got enough petals to make it worthwhile. Tried to get as many of the sunflowers in here as I could. Yeah, you can see there's quite a few that have fallen off. Darn it. Yeah, it looks like this one whole side is bare, but we'll see what we get. The silica gel you get in a package of a lot of electronic items. Those little tiny packages have this silica gel in it. Usually it's bigger pieces than this. Looks like we've lost almost all of our petals. We've got a bald sunflower with lots of dry petals. I don't think we got one left on. Look at that. We have a bald sunflower. I don't know if that's much good for anything, but we do have dried petals. You might be able to decorate using those because they'll last for years. Apparently you've got to be a little more delicate than I was, and usually it says to do it for 2 weeks, not for 4 weeks. And I think that's probably because the longer you go, the more the connections to the sunflower dry out and can't hold themselves against the pressure of all the silica gel pushing around it. So got some pretty petals. That's something. I'll have to figure something to do with that. This is just the consistency of sugar. Just like you'd pulled it out, although sugar wouldn't do the job that silica gel does. Silica gel pulls out all the moisture from whatever you put in it. So I probably ought to get a sieve and put it through so all these extra little pieces that I've done several projects with, they get in here over time. Another little petal. Looks like there's a couple left in the bucket. So they're pretty. It was worthwhile doing, just not what I had hoped. So, would you consider this a failure? Epic failure? I don't know. But we got something pretty. I'm sure somebody with some really good decorating skills could give us some ideas down below in the comments. If that was helpful or interesting to you, give me a like and subscribe, and we'll try doing some other interesting things. And maybe next time we'll do it for 2 weeks and see what happens. Thanks for watching.